Texas is not supposed to be an important state in this election, right? It's supposed to be solidly red. It's not supposed to be a consideration in a presidential election. But it is in no small part because Donald Trump has so terribly botched the response to this pandemic, and the Republican governor has done a really bad job too, that ads like this get to be shown during the election. And by the way, notice there is a tiny little Easter egg in this.
Texas is opening up, and I'm not sure that we even have a choice. I think we have to do it.
Abbott's stay-at-home order expired on Friday, hours after Texas reported its largest single-day total of COVID-19 deaths.
I want to commend the governor for your decisive action, reopening this economy.
Are you willing to take a chance on your survival for your children and grandchildren? I'm all in.
Texas is in crisis mode.
You flattened the curve here in Texas.
Demand is overwhelming COVID testing sites, an hours-long wait.
A major federal testing site in Texas set to close tomorrow, even though coronavirus cases there are still surging.
In the hard-hit Rio Grande Valley, the largest hospital system says they are near capacity.
Since May, the state's case count has exploded.
Now they have set up a panel to decide who gets treatment and who gets to just go home and die with their family.
Governor Abbott, when you look at the job he's done in Texas, I rely on his judgment.
So, look, that's a devastating ad. We've seen many of them over the past few months, and he is tragically producing more material for ads like that every day that he refuses to listen to the doctors. Texas has been, it's one of the most hard hit in this second wave. I just saw, I think it was in the last 24 hours, they reported an additional 600 deaths from, prior parts of the pandemic that they hadn't reported before. So now they're at like 5,700 people have died just in Texas. And because they wanted to reopen. And yes, it was my voice in part of that because we were talking about the death panels thing. And that was a nice little Easter egg. But I'm glad that people are talking about the fact that the Rio Grande Valley is so incredibly hard hit. The hospitals are filled up. Like we talked about in that story, they're literally trying to decide, we have a certain number of beds. There's nowhere to send other people. So some people are just so sick that we're not going to treat them at all. We're just going to send them home so that we have the beds for those that we might conceivably be able to rescue. That's not what's supposed to be happening in America. Not in 2020, not with our resources.
That's why you tweet a video of a doctor saying that it's not real or that it's not as bad as you think or it doesn't spread without wearing a mask. Because when Vice President Pence said, I want to congratulate you for opening back up this economy, that's just code for I want to congratulate you and say thank you for making sure that we're still making money and keeping us rich. Mm-hmm. Because the truth is that even if you go back to work to get money and you get sick and then you can't afford to get the proper care that you need, and that care does not exist in the first place, what our benefit is it to you to be, participating in the economy with your, faux patriotism about going out to work because you've been conditioned to be a rat on the wheel to keep making money for people who are now going into becoming trillionaires in this country. But, we also in this country, as the idiocracy is upon us, we demonize entire institutions and groups. And Texas is one of the states where people make fun of and say, Texas should succeed and Texas is this, and Florida, they do it as well. There are a lot of good people in the state of Florida and Texas who are victims of these governments. This evil menage a trois that Donald Trump has with the governor of Florida and Texas is rained down on his people, and it's caused a lot of death and a lot of turmoil and a lot of horrific things in those states because they always weaponize those states as being red states with the people who get it for the conservative party. And then the people who are not on board with that are victims of all of those policies that, the governor, the mayor of Miami, Suarez, he did his own thing to save lives in Miami, and he's a Republican. But he was a COVID victim, and he made it
early.
Yeah, and Javier made it a point to take care of the people in his community because he said, I am responsible and accountable to these people. So when we sit there and talk about Texas and, we make it a joke, like Americans, we do it. Like I said earlier with Canada, that's just become a part of the play when you dumb down the country and you make a generalization about groups as a whole is you people in Texas, you got to advocate, and you have to speak up, and you have to show up at the polls, because these people are trying to kill you so that they can get richer at your expense.
Yeah. Yeah, and like we mentioned a couple times now, I say this to Donald Trump because I know he watches. Trump, do you want 100 more ads like this between now and the election? Do you want to just continually generate material that is going to potentially make it impossible for you to win? I don't know. I mean, America sucks, so anything's possible, but the idea that you could preside over the worst failure of the U.S. government in living memory and get reelected, I hope that that's not true. And if he can't, it's because of things like this. It's because, you know, even like Abbott in Texas is like, he's like, no, I'm taking this more seriously. I'm like telling people they should wear masks and stuff like that. But he also isn't mandating it. And he's stopping localities from mandating it because he doesn't want to piss off Donald Trump. And so, like, thanks to my wife, I have family in the Rio Grande Valley now. And some of them have been exposed to coronavirus because people walk around without masks. They work without masks. And the localities that would like to institute it, like the one I talked about that has the death panels now, person in charge in that area said, we're going to tell people we want you to wear masks, but we can't force them to. It is just optional because the state isn't allowing us to. So even where they're sort of taking it a little bit more seriously, they're still trying not to make Trump mad. And what makes Trump mad is taking the pandemic seriously. And that will kill people in Texas and beyond.
And he's getting tested daily. He's not exposed to it. He has protections. He lives a lavish, wealthy life. So, of course, he can stand on his, he can die on that hill, because for him, he's not being personally affected. He's not coming in contact with essential workers. He's not going to the grocery store. He's not riding in an Uber.
Yeah.
He have to go to a regular hospital. So, of course, he can say all of these things about coronavirus. What I don't understand is that the people who have to ride an Uber, drive an Uber, go to the grocery store, the people who are exposed that have to go to the normal hospital, why are those people still supporting this agenda when you are vulnerable? And it shouldn't take you to die for you, or someone to die, for you to take this seriously. And the thing I was going to say, it is undeniable that Donald Trump is going down in history as the worst president of all time. This anti-intellectual movement, making fun of people who are smart and educated, who are then have to go and be in debt for acquiring these said educations that you mock, are the ones that are going to write the history books, not the dummies who are asking for supercuts to open and that want to go back to the Golden Corral. It's the people who are educated and write history and learn it and are the ones who are going to be framing this time in the future. And if you think that those people that you've been mocking and calling smug and spitting on are going to favorably mark you down in history and write you down in history in anything that's good, you are sadly mistaken. Y'all better stop making fun of people who read.
Yeah, that would be nice. If I could change one thing, that would be a big one. For more political news, breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.